If Black Panther Party want to learn political candidates and hold up their signs and keep guns in their home to defend themselves from racist pig cops who shoot up windows and murder black people in the black community, then let black people hold up the sign of the gun and use it to defend themselves. Everybody has a right to survive.
The California Penal Code Section 12020 through 12027 and also the Second Amendment of the Constitution guarantees the citizen a right to bear arms on public property.
See, it's no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. There's no such thing as second-class citizenship.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was established on October 15, 1966, in West Oakland. Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton, and Albert Howard are the most well-known founders, with more emphasis on the first two. But there were 6 original Black Panther Party members that are credited: Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, Albert Howard, Bobby Hutton, Sherwin Forte, and Reginald Forte. Newton and Seale adopted the Black Panther logo after attending a conference that Stokely Carmichael was keynoting. At the time, he was promoting the Lowndes County Freedom Organization in Alabama, which used the Black Panther symbol. It stood to show that a Black Panther is slick, stealthy, and only attacks when provoked. Newton and Seale felt that encapsulated their organization perfectly, as do I. Official headquarters were opened a few months after, and the party began to grow in size and expand across the country and the world. A major belief of the party was in open carry gun laws for protection. When policing the police when they were making arrests, they were armed to ensure safety of the party's members and the victim. Of course, this action labeled them as a violent organization. And the Mulford Act, which made public carrying of loaded firearms illegal, was beginning to be carried out. Coincidental timing, right? The famous armed protests at the State House happened to show the party's disdain for the bill, and 6 protesters were arrested in the aftermath. However, the protests gave the Black Panther Party publicity, and soon after, the 10-point program was published in the 2nd issue of the Black Panther newspaper. This is a very general overview of only some of the action that happened in the Black Panther Party, so don't think that this is all that happened. Okay, so you were in the Black Panther Party, correct?
Yes, I was, for a short period of time.
Okay, and what was it about the party that made you want to join?
Well, at the time, I hadn't started back to school, and I really wanted to find out why my sister was spending the kind of time she was with the Black Panther Party. And I didn't know that much about it, so I thought I would join and get that information.
You were there for the foundation of the party, I'm assuming, or were you not?
Oh, no, I was not there when it first started, no.
When did you come in?
I'll have to figure out when I went back to school. I think it was in 1969 is when I started going to meetings and helping and doing other activities.
Did you ever get to meet like anyone super famous?
Well, yes, I was at meetings. Bobby Seale was always there. At the time when I joined, Huey was incarcerated, and but all the other Panthers in the Bay Area were there at the meetings.
What were some of the moments that really stuck out to you while you were like in the party?
But when Huey was released from jail, I was able to go over to Charles Gary's office in San Francisco for the press conference. And of course, every big station was there at the time. And I felt really good because the room was very crowded, but I was allowed to go right to the front of the room. This is the picture of Huey's press conference when he got out of jail. And these microphones represent every news station in the Bay Area and maybe in the United States, because it was a very important press conference. Our Panther people, this is his brother, and of course this is Huey. I think this is David. I could be mistaken, David Hilliard. But it shows you that I'm right up next to the table that Huey was speaking from. And I was honored to be in that position, but only got in that position because my sister was one of the original women in the Panther Party.
What made you leave? You said school, but is there anything else?
School, the time. I had to, as I continued in school, it took more and more of my time. And I had to just dedicate 100% of my time in school because I was really determined to get a degree.
And how did being in the Black Panther Party affect your future and life decisions?
Well, I think the biggest thing it did for me is when I went to the political education classes, some of them were around, educating children, because that in time the Black Panther Party had a school. And there were several times when I was maybe on vacation or not working in the public schools, and I was able to go work in the Panther school. But because I had that information from the Panthers about educating black students and how they needed to have someone really behind them and to push them, when I became a teacher, I did well with all races, but exceptionally well with black students.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, okay. Who gonna see this, Cheryl? Don't be showing nobody this.
As you can tell, Auntie Irma was more on the outskirts of the party, but my other aunt has a different perspective. So you were actually telling me some stories before we started filming. I heard from Auntie Irma, basically everyone in the family, that you were the most popular Panther.
But I was the first Panther in the family, or anyone to participate in party activities.
So you were there for were you there for the foundation when they were creating it and everything?
I met the founders and the first members of the Black Panther Party in 1966 when I was a student at San Francisco State. But I was active in the BSU at San Francisco State, where we instituted the first black educational studies department in the United States. And we had the strikes, which are very famous.
Yeah.
San Francisco and the Bay Area seemed to be the hub for being informed and wanting to know what was going on with our society and not accepting some things. We had the Black Student Union, and we were trying to institute the Black Studies Department. But during that time, we met the Black Panthers. We had them to come over to speak. Once I heard their ideology and what they were doing in the community, then I said, well, later for what was going on at San Francisco State, and I joined the party. Our apartment was what they call a safe house. So if there were Panthers that needed someplace to stay, then they came to our house.
But did you ever fear for your life or your families?
Many, many times. My biggest fear, like I said at that time, was that if I died, if I got killed by the police, that my parents would not understand that it was an illegal act. I wanted them to know that if I die, it was of value. There was something that I was doing. There was a cause. Outside of that, I had many fears day to day. I was at David Hilliard's. He's the chief of staff of the Black Panther Party. And I was all alone that day. I looked out the window, and the house was surrounded by policemen. And they were outside with their guns drawn, the whole house, back everywhere. I said, they're not going to shoot through the house and kill me. They'll kill me on the street where people can see. By that time, Panthers had drove up. There was another time of the April 6th shootout in which little Bobby got killed and Eldridge got wounded. We heard on the radio there was a Panther killed, and we didn't know who it was. The house was surrounded again where we were at. Safest place for us to be was in the bathtub. That's the only thing we could think of. So we were in the bathroom and we said, well, we hope that if we get shot, they shoot us in the head because we didn't want to suffer. So we tried to think of all the how it's going to feel, the bullets coming through. And it was scary all the time. You never knew, but at the time I was living in a reality that you will die. And it was a sacrifice I was willing to make. Oh yeah, everybody carried a gun.
Did you ever carry?
I sure did, baby.
So what were your responsibilities and duties once you joined the party?
Well, that was a protracted thing. I became a part of the Central Committee of the Black Panther Party, and also I was Bobby Seale's secretary.
When I was doing research on the party and watching videos and documentaries, I noticed that there's like a difference between how the women and men were treated and what they were doing. So that's what I wanted to ask.
When we had Central Committee meetings, the men would listen to what we had to say. We'd take votes and our votes counted. That was at the beginning. African Americans were seeing themselves with value and love. There was a reverence toward women. And like if you went into a store, they'd say, sister, let me get the door for you. The Black Panther Party started forming programs to dole out food and clothing and shoes and different things like that. So the community would see that we're not just a bunch of crazy people carrying guns. When I joined the Black Panther Party, they were patrolling the neighborhoods. They knew that African American men would be getting stopped or by the policeman. Anyone can watch a policeman make an arrest, so he never brutalized. Then they would follow the person that got arrested down to the police station and bail him out. I never went on the patrols with them, but there were women that did. When they saw the Panthers with their weapons, they said, we've got to pass a law that says you can't carry weapons.
How do you feel about what's happening right now with like Black Lives Matter and George Floyd?
Okay. What's happening now is what the Black Panther Party was hoping would happen when we were active. This is a very strategic time right now because you have people in England, in Norway, everywhere saying Black Lives Matter. They're saying George Floyd, they saw what happened to him. They're saying his life matters. This is very key on how the United States proceeds in terms of racist division that we have going on. Very key to our politics and which way we go on this.
My aunt told me so much more about the Black Panthers that I just couldn't include. I wanted to make sure that I could fit in my uncle, who has a little more unique experience. So, Uncle Levy, can you talk about growing up with your brothers?
It was interesting. Growing up with my brothers, they would always jump on me and beat me up and then run around cars, and I couldn't catch them, and I'd be mad and crying, and they would laugh. And like I said, Reginald was always, into fights and stuff. He got kicked out of Emory twice.
And then Sherwin was going to
Sherwin was
Oakland.
going to. No, I think Sherwin was going to. Well, at that time,
Yeah, he was in Oakland.
Yeah.
At Oakland.
That was before he graduated, so.
Sherwin was more of a reader, like I said, more of a reader.
Yeah.
He liked to talk all the time.
I remember one time.
Oh.
He had a P-38, just like a German handgun, and he went somewhere and he left the gun with me, so I took it apart. And he got into a issue with some guy. He came to get the gun, and it was
all in pieces. All in pieces.
It was all in pieces. Yeah. I really didn't know anything. I guess I was too young to know anything about what was going on politically. But
Plus, you lived
It's
in your
funny.
own black world. You know, you went to
Went
to segregated
we
schools.
went to
and
segregated
didn't-
schools.
Yeah, Levy always says he'll never go back down south to live because he lived there and he remembers the conditions.
Oh yeah. We would have to walk through this park, and it was a segregated park. You know, they had black colored only water fountains and all of this stuff, and I used to sneak and drink water out of the white only.
Break the rules.
There was one little white store. So this little white kid came out, Johnny. I mean, you know, he pushed all of the other kids around. They wouldn't mess
Black
with him.
kids,
Yeah, all the black kids, you know. He would push them all around. So I grabbed him and pushed him down and kicked him in his butt. And we went back to the store later that evening. And his mom came out and you the one that kicked my son? And then she turned around, she said, well, kick me. And she turned around and bent over. So I stepped back and Sherwin grabbed me and took us on to the house.
That could have been a lynching.
Did you ever think that your brothers and you, Auntie Janice, would be the start of something so impactful to our society?
No, I had no idea. I didn't see any long range, expectations of what was going to happen.
It went too fast.
And they didn't know who was an undercover cop or who was
Mm-hmm.
And I think the major mistake that they made was they just pretty much let everybody in. All you had to say was right on and this and that and that, and they had no way of doing a background check or finding out
checks and balances.
Yeah, who these people really were.
The FBI was after J. Edgar Hoover said that we were the biggest threat to America. They did everything in their power, which they did, to make the party
to
destroy itself.
Yeah.
Your brothers co-founded the Black Panther Party and were part of the original 6, but you officially didn't join. Why is that?
Well, because when I thought about joining, they were already renegades. So all my associates, they were already ex-Panthers.
We joined Eldridge's faction. And so those who remained in the party with Huey, kind of saw us as the enemies. But we still participated with them on different things. It all depends,
Did you tell them about your stint as in the air piracy?
Oh,
You kind of touched on friends, but were there select people that you were always around?
And most of them were, kids in my high school. Because of Reginald and Sherwin, they were, the original members. Everybody just kind of accepted me as being part of it.
Did you ever fear for your life too?
I think we all did. I think we all did. Everybody was a little afraid all the time. You didn't know what to expect. Especially after they had gone and shot up that office over there.
Yeah, police shot up the our first office that we had in Oakland. They got mad one night. I think a bunch of them had been drinking.
Got drunk and shot up.
And just sprayed it up, shot it all up. Now this is little Bobby, and you can see police station real good.
Yeah.
This is a picture. Here's Levy he's the only white. He didn't. I don't know why. But anyway, this is Uncle Levy.
Oh yeah.
Right there, and that's the Marlon Brando.
Janice was telling me that the FBI still tracks you guys.
I don't think so much anymore.
Well, I told her
all
that
the time.
One time I remember we checked the credit report and it said FBI.
Oh yeah, they had done credit checks on.
But I think what they did was, if you were a prominent member of a radical group, they continually keep tabs on you, just kind of see where you're, There's Panthers still in the penitentiary from the 60s. There's some that are still waiting to be freed.
I know in Oakland used to recruit, police officers from Alabama and Mississippi, just the white ones, the racist white ones. you know, and that's who they staffed, you know, the police force with, you know, and so that's why you had so much police brutality and killing of black people, you know, then. And same thing with, you know, what happened with Floyd. I mean, you know, you take a situation where the majority of the people are black, and then you got 1 or 2 black police officers, you know, so, and they're not going to have any influence. They're not going to be able to change anything, you know, so that's basically what we had to deal with, and that's what's going on today. You know, Black Lives Matter, I think they were fortunate that, you know, that incident with Floyd was recorded, because they got a lot more donations and stuff like that, and enabled them to do a lot of things. Plus, I think because of how racially biased and how obscene that whole deal was, you know, people really got to see how the police actually are.
In real time. People got to see in real time that we were telling the truth about what's happening to us.
And plus, you look at the initial police report, and then you look at what actually happened. I mean, it's 2 different things.
What I always marvel at, what George Ridge, Bobby, David Hilliard, and Kathleen did, because after Huey was shot, they had to, only way they could save his life was to get into the media. And they did a tremendous job doing that, letting everybody know what was going on. They did it in a way that it appealed to different races and nationalities of people, to show them the oppression. It's not just this one black man here. It's happening to us all.
But one question I have for you guys is, if you guys keep mentioning that media is a big influence on how accepting and how change will happen. So if you guys think that it was easier for people to record the police brutality and attacks that were happening in the black community in the 60s, would what's happening now happen then? Like, do you think media is the only...
You know what? I don't think it would be too much difference, because I really don't think most black people didn't understand that when they went to court, you know, that they were supposed to be tried by people of their peers. Black guys going in, and it's an all-white jury. So it really didn't, you know, as long as the jury pool was the same.
African American people at that time didn't know how we fit in globally with the rest of the world. So that's what the Black Panther Party was trying to do, was educate the masses of black people, to show them that we are a part of this world, and this is what's happening, not just to us, but to all people that are being subjugated.
All people of color,
You
know.
And appear being one who comes from the same economic, social, religious, historical, and racial background. If the United States government and the courts and the local courts did this, they would have to choose black people from the black community.
Were you going to say something?
Pardon?
Were you going to say something?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you edit this?
Yeah.
Okay.